Your final project for this class is a watercolor painting. It's going to be done on 11 by 15. You can do it, of course, landscape or portrait, doesn't matter. But your goal is to come up with a really nice composition. Now, this is your last painting, and so think of it as the culmination of everything you've learned during the class. And so we're not going to try to rush through it. We're going to try to come up with a really nice composition, paint it as well as you can, and have something that you would like to keep. Now, I'm going to show you some examples of different work, and I'm doing it mainly because these are things that I like, or I think they might have value to you. But think about the composition, because very few of us can paint like this. This is Don Weller, who is a local artist. He's the one who created the logo for Park City, has worked in this area for years, also worked in LA, worked on Beatle albums of all things. But he's a very, very good draftsman and a great painter. What I like about this is the composition. Now, most people would want to draw or paint the entire horse or a good portion of it. This one's called Rangeland Office Chair. So he's basically just painting the saddle. And he could have put it across a rail and painted it that way, but he chose to paint it on the horse, but eliminate most of the horse. So I really love the composition of this piece. Another Don Weller, magpie on a fence rail. Look at how simple this is. This is simply a fence. Look how he treated the foliage in the background. Just some spots, some big, bold areas of color. The things that he zeroed in on for detail are the fence posts, the barbed wire, and the magpie. A very common scene that you see in our area is hollyhocks. This artist, a lot of moisture down here to spread the background color, and then she painted on top of it, possibly while it was still pretty wet in some places. Very iconic image for Utah, Delicate Arch down at Arches National Park. I've got two examples of watercolors. This one's kind of interesting. It's very bright, very deep reds, using blues for the shadows and such. Another watercolor artist, her depiction of it, very nicely painted. Double Arch, another very iconic Utah scene from Arches National Park. I like the interplay of the blues in the windows against the red sandstone. I want you to think about how detailed you think things have to be. This artist makes big, broad strokes of color and just kind of puts little lines and shadows in to depict them. She's not painstakingly trying to make it look like a photograph, and I like that about her work. This is a piece that I did. Usually when you think of Stonehenge, you think of the long expanse with all the monolithic images there. I chose just to zero in on one small part and do that painting. And I call it Morris and Tendon because that's what they were doing, is they were putting these joints on so that they would come together. This is a Utah artist, and I picked just a couple of his pieces to show that sometimes a detail is more interesting than the entire object. Here's the front of a locomotive. There's the back of a train car, and not even the entire back, just a section of it. And here's the wheels. And so sometimes it's a lot more interesting to just show a detail than to paint the entire object. And then this is just a very simple little landscape. I want you to see that as it progressively gets further away, the mountains get lighter and grayer. So general art, this is your final project. To do a painting, and it's on a large sheet of paper. It's 15 by 11. You can do it landscape, you can do it portrait. It doesn't matter which way you paint it. It depends on your subject matter. Now the reason that I have this painting up, I did this on the exact same size paper. And so think about all the things that you studied during this class. Think about the lectures on elements of design. Think about balance, focal point, contrast, color, scale, all these different things. And, you know, plan out your composition thinking about all these different things so they can help you come up with a very nice design. The other thing that I want you to think about is the different things that we did as far as painting, learning how to control the colors, learning how to mix the colors. Try to use colors that will let the paper show through at times, because so many of your paintings I'll look at and the paint is so thick it looks like tempera. You know, that's the type of paint that you use when you were in first and second grade. Very opaque. You know, we want to have the paper coming through because that's what gives your paintings the brightness. That's why people like watercolor paintings. Now, the other thing that I would suggest is that allow me to help you with your composition by sketching things out and then showing me those sketches either on an email attachment or during our class office hours. You can say, here's what I've come up with. And quite often I can make a very simple suggestion that can help out the composition. Remember that sometimes rather than put an object right in the middle of your paper, making it larger and letting it actually go off the paper in different places can make a much more interesting composition also. Now, the goal is to come up with something that is so nice that you'll want to maybe mat it. This is a mat that is cut that goes all the way around this painting. And then you can mat it, frame it, and hopefully it'd be something that you'd like to keep in your home and part of your personal collection.